Have you ever climbed into bed after a long day, taken off your shoes, and suddenly felt like the soles of your feet were on fire, even though the room was completely cool? Maybe it feels like heat spreading through your toes. Maybe there's tingling, pins and needles, or a strange sensation that makes you want to move your feet just to get some relief. But here's the part most people don't realize. Your feet may not actually be hot at all. In fact, you could touch your feet and find that the skin feels completely normal, while your brain is receiving a very different message. And that clue is important. When your feet are genuinely warm, there's usually an obvious reason. You've been exercising, wearing heavy socks, sitting near a heater, or spending time somewhere hot. But burning feet can be different. The sensation can continue even when the temperature around you is comfortable. It may become more noticeable when you're resting at night. And instead of simply feeling warm, you may notice burning, tingling, numbness, prickling, or an occasional sensation that feels almost like a tiny electrical shock. So what's actually happening? Think about the nerves in your body as a network of tiny electrical wires. They constantly carry information from your feet toward your spinal cord and brain, messages about touch, pressure, temperature, and pain. Normally, these signals are accurate. If your foot touches something hot, your nerves send a warning to your brain. That's hot. But if those nerves become irritated, injured, or start functioning abnormally, the signals can become distorted. Your brain may receive a message that feels like burning, even though there is no heat source underneath your skin. And here's where this becomes especially interesting. This is one possible reason for these unusual nerve signals, but it is not the only possibility. Certain vitamin deficiencies, medications, circulation problems, and other health conditions can sometimes produce similar sensations. That means burning feet shouldn't automatically be dismissed as just getting older, but they also shouldn't automatically be assumed to mean diabetes. The real question is, why are those signals happening in the first place? And that leads to a question most people never think to ask. If your feet aren't actually burning, why does your brain feel as if they are? In the next module, we're going inside the nerves themselves to understand how these tiny electrical pathways can turn an ordinary sensation into burning, tingling, or pain, and why the source of the problem may be somewhere you wouldn't expect. So if your feet aren't actually hot, why can they feel like they're burning? The answer may begin with something you can't see, touch, or even feel directly: your nerves. Think of the nerves in your feet like tiny electrical wires running throughout your body. Every second, these wires carry messages between your feet, spinal cord, and brain. Step on a cold floor, and your nerves send that information upward. Touch something sharp, and they quickly signal pain. Even the pressure from your shoes is detected and reported. Your brain receives those messages and turns them into the sensations you recognize as normal. But what happens when those tiny electrical wires stop working properly? If peripheral nerves become irritated or damaged, they may begin sending signals that don't accurately match what's happening in your feet. It's a little like an electrical wire that has become worn. Instead of sending a clean, reliable signal, it may produce distorted messages. And your brain can interpret those abnormal signals as something very real. Burning, that's the surprising part. Your feet can be resting quietly in bed, with no heat source nearby, while your brain is receiving signals that feel exactly like intense warmth or burning. The same nerve problem can also produce pins and needles, numbness, stabbing sensations, or brief electric shock-like feelings, even when your feet look completely normal from the outside. Some people notice these sensations more at night, when there are fewer distractions, and they're more aware of what their body is feeling. But here's something important. Burning feet do not automatically mean you have nerve damage, and nerve-related burning does not automatically mean diabetes. There are several different reasons nerves can become irritated or damaged, including metabolic problems, certain nutritional deficiencies, some medications, long-term alcohol exposure, and other medical conditions. But don't focus on the list yet. So, if the nerves are only the messenger, what could be causing them to send those abnormal signals? One important possibility is something many people don't think about when they first notice burning feet: blood sugar. You may already know that persistently high blood sugar can affect the body, But what you may not realize is that the nerves in your feet can be particularly vulnerable when blood sugar remains elevated over time, and the changes can be remarkably gradual. Instead of suddenly developing obvious nerve damage, a person may first notice subtle changes that come and go. Because they develop slowly, it's easy to blame them on aging, tired feet, or simply wearing uncomfortable shoes. But here's something worth remembering. Getting older does not automatically mean your feet should burn or become numb. If unusual sensations keep returning, become more noticeable, or gradually spread, they're worth discussing with a healthcare professional. And you don't necessarily have to feel sick for a blood sugar problem to be present. Some people can have elevated blood sugar without obvious symptoms. That's one reason routine screening becomes increasingly important as we get older. Now, this does not mean that burning feet automatically indicate diabetes. Diabetes is one possible cause of nerve problems, but it is not the only one. And even if someone has diabetes, not every sensation in their feet is necessarily caused by diabetic nerve damage. So what exactly does high blood sugar do? It doesn't literally burn your nerves. Over time, persistently elevated blood sugar can interfere with normal nerve function and can also affect the tiny blood vessels that help supply those nerves. As those changes develop, the nerves may become less reliable at sending and processing sensory signals. And that brings us to a fascinating possibility. Your feet could sometimes be giving you a clue about something happening elsewhere in your body. But what if your blood sugar is normal? There's another possibility that can affect those same nerves, and it's surprisingly easy to overlook. Vitamin B12. B12 is a nutrient your nervous system needs to function properly. When your body doesn't have enough of it, nerve function can be affected, and unusual sensations in the feet can sometimes be one of the clues. The important thing is that a B12 problem doesn't necessarily announce itself with one dramatic symptom. The changes can be gradual, which means a person may notice something unusual in their feet and simply assume it's part of getting older. But remember, age itself isn't an explanation for persistent changes in sensation, and there's another reason B12 can be easy to overlook. Getting enough B12 from food is only part of the story. Your body also needs to absorb it properly. As we get older, changes in digestion and certain stomach or intestinal conditions can sometimes interfere with that absorption. Some commonly used medications can also affect B12 levels over time. That doesn't mean a medication is necessarily causing your symptoms, and it certainly doesn't mean you should stop taking anything on your own. It simply means that when someone develops unexplained nerve symptoms, their healthcare professional may need to look at more than one possibility. So, don't rely on a cold floor, ice, or home remedies as a substitute for finding the underlying cause. And please don't assume that burning feet are simply something you have to live with because you're getting older. Now we can finally return to the mystery we started with. Your feet may feel like they're burning, but the heat may not be coming from your feet at all. It may be a signal, one your body is sending through the nerves to tell you that something needs attention. So don't focus only on cooling the feet. Look for the reason they're burning.
Burning feet are a sensation, not a diagnosis. The feeling can be connected to nerve problems, blood sugar changes, nutritional deficiencies, medications, circulation issues, or other health conditions. And because the sensation alone can't tell you the cause, the goal isn't to guess, it's to pay attention. If this video helped you understand something you've been experiencing, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe for more clear, trustworthy health information focused on healthy aging. And remember, listen to what your body is telling you, not with fear, but with attention.